Hey, it's Scott Beebe, the Business on Purpose podcast. Time to get liberated from the chaos of working in your business. I cannot wait. I am going to take you live. That's right, live. We have got, well, I say live, it's like an actual recording in a client conference room. I told you a little bit about it on the last podcast. I believe that was episode 147. And what I'm going to do is I was sitting in on one of our clients' daily huddles, and I told you again a little bit about that on the last podcast. And at the end of it, I asked politely if I could take another 3 or 4 minutes and just go around the room and ask each of the members there what it meant for them. These are employees, these are team members with their leader. What it meant to them that their leader made the time to have the daily huddle with them and ask them some of those questions that we talked about yesterday. So I wanted you to get the questions on the podcast yesterday and then see how they apply today and what the immediate benefit towards those team members are. So take a listen into this. I cannot wait. I am so excited. I'll see you on the back end of this. All right, so I'm in the room with the Beaufort County Treasurer's Office. The operations team just went through a 14-minute exercise. I'm sorry, the accounting team. I just got corrected by the treasurer. The 14-minute exercise, which usually takes 7 minutes, but there were a couple of us extras in the room. And so, but I wanted you to hear their feedback as to what the value of a daily huddle is for them. You guys do this every day, right? 5 days a week? Yep. Okay. 5 days a week, 8:15 in the morning. They meet right here in the Deputy Treasurer's office. So somebody let me know, what is the biggest takeaway value for you in having this daily huddle?
I think, he puts the phone right in front of me. I think the biggest takeaway that we have isn't necessarily the nosy aspect of me knowing what Sonia's doing or me knowing what Tanya's doing, but the opportunity to sit down with George, be like, this is what I think my priority for the day is. Is that correct? And then also having the opportunity to tell him what we need from him, or if there's anything specific that he needs from us or course correction for the day. I think they are valuable, and it helps kind of get your mind set for the correct way in the day as well. I don't think it would be as valuable without your supervisor there or without George here. I think then it would kind of just turn into well, what are you doing today? And what are you doing today? So that aspect of what do I need from you? What do you need from me? And making sure that we're on the right path is, I think, the most valuable part.
So leave it up to the I personality to speak first. Well done. Who else? Yeah, go ahead.
I came from the operations area over to the accounting area since November, and these huddles make me feel part of the team, and it's also information-wise because I'm getting the bigger picture of the accounting area and what goes on. So every time we visit, I'm learning something new, and this is a team.
Good. Anybody else?
I think what I take out of it most, or what I enjoy about it most, is sometimes, especially with George, his busy schedule, I don't always have the opportunity to get to him in the afternoon. So if I'm working on different projects and I hit a point where I'm just like stumped and I can't go any further, I know that I can collect all of these different things and come to him the next morning if I don't get to him before that in the afternoon. So it's a nice way of knowing that I have 15 minutes of his undivided attention that I can be like, okay, I need this, this, or this. And then he can set me straight and get me going where I need to go. So
that's good. All right. Anybody else?
I think to add to all of that, because we are a team, there are some aspects of what we do we rely on each other for. So coming together and what my priority of the day might be, I might need someone else to help, but if they have a higher priority, they might not be able to get with me till the next day. So it's an information thing, letting us know what we
like the GLX for it.
It decreases the chance that I will forget to do something.
But very simply. So that's the C in the room, the high C in the room. Gave that. So one other question for you guys. George, are you still holding to, and if you're not, then I'll just delete this part, but are you still holding to your kind of your time block to say, hey, this is an hour that you've got my full undivided attention later in the day?
Absolutely.
Okay? Yeah? All right, so let me ask you guys this. When George told you, because this is always a concern, if I come in and say, hey, we're having a daily huddle, and then my next available time is X, that everybody's going to be offended and frustrated and think that George is not available and all that. What was your kind of, well, today, don't talk about your first emotion, but today, what's the reality of knowing that George has a window in the day that he is totally open to you, but there's other parts of the day where he is not open because he's trying to focus on deep work?
I think that we all realize how much George has to do, and I think for self-preservation, he needs to set time for himself to do it, and it affects us positively because he's getting stuff that we might need. It's an opportunity for him to get stuff that we might need done, which positively affects us because we're not having to come back the next day. Oh, wait, I'm still waiting for this. I'm still waiting for this, to help get some positive turnaround. And with that being said, if there is an emergency, like it's not like he locks the door and closes the blinds and doesn't answer. I know he does try and we
That
break
was
it.
his instruction, but whatever.
I think we're all too with the teamwork aspect, and I don't want to say the maturity, but we realize what is an actual emergency and what is something that can handle through going to one of each other versus, or doing our own research on it. We're pretty self-sufficient, so I think that helps as well with him being able to do that.
Very rarely has he ever said no. Like if you come to his door, that if his door is closed, then that's when you know the answer is no. If his door's open, he doesn't say go away.
Or if he's on the phone or...
Yeah.
So when his door is closed, are you offended?
No.
Yeah, you get it?
I'm jealous.
Okay.
I want a door
Yeah,
closed.
Usually I close the door if I'm getting on the phone. That issue, because I don't want to situationally aware out there to be disturbing them with my conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Super helpful again, just publicly. Congratulations, because this is a big deal. You mentioned something a minute ago, maturity. You said, I don't want to call it maturity. I will call it maturity. I think there is a situational maturity. George just used that word, situational awareness. I think there's a situational maturity that grows when boundaries are put in place. But we tend to look at boundaries to go, hey, that's restrictive. Hold on. You're pushing me out. And the reality is that boundary actually gives you more freedom. And it creates growth. You mentioned the word self-sufficiency. There's no way to become self-sufficient unless there are closed door times to say, hey, I can't get to so-and-so, whoever that might be, whether it's George or Maria or one of you, to say, oh, Vicky's got headphones on. That's her close time, or whatever that looks like. That's your new door, by the way.
That is mine and Lori's door, and it is.
Yeah.
And people will come up and they're like, oh, you had headphones in, sorry, and I'll leave.
Yeah, so little triggers like that. But publicly, congratulations. You're doing really, really great. So thanks for sharing that with me. Okay, so here's the deal. I am so fired up about you being able to listen to that because I think there's real substance that you can take from that conversation. And it was so interesting. I want to give you a couple of bits of insight. Number one, this was a treasurer's office. This is like the epitome of a bureaucracy. So all of you who are in private business, you have no excuse. All right, we have no excuse. They have bought in, they've dove right in, and this is a room full of passive personalities, by the way. On the disc profile, SCCS is a lot of those in the room, and they were like excited to get this phone and talk into the recording. So that they could kind of talk about the win that they had by putting something together so simply as a daily huddle. And you might go, you know what, it's just not going to work for me, Scott. And you know what I would respond to you? You're right. If that's the mentality, if that's the mindset, you're exactly right. So I'm going to ask you to change your mindset. I'm going to ask you to do something different. And starting with your vision is where we always start, mybusinessonpurpose.com/vision. Go there. We've got the tutorial and the template there. As long as you know where you're going, vision. These daily huddles are going to be just a nice little base hit every day. Not home runs, nice little base hits. And before you know it, you're going to start scoring runs off these base hits. But here's the biggest thing. They're not just going to sit there. I heard this the other day. Actually, I was listening to an Audible book, and they used the old metaphor. 5 frogs decided to jump off a log. How many there are 5 frogs on a log. 4 decided to jump off. How many are left? And as the old metaphor, the saying goes, all of them are left on the log because it was just a decision, but there was no action. Are you going to take action, implementation, take that daily huddle, 5-part coaching framework, which we talked about in the last podcast, and go take action and be moved by the win of the treasurer's office? All right, guys, I'll see you next time right here on the Business on Purpose podcast.